I am so excited about our next interview because if there is anyone on this earth who understands women in power, it is Nell Scovell. Nell is a writer.
Hi.
She's a director. Hi. She's a producer. She created Sabrina the Teenage Witch. She was a writer for The Simpsons, Late Night with David Letterman, even The Muppets in 2013. I mean, I'm talking to you right now. I'm looking at your face and reading your intro, and it's awesome. In 2013, you co-wrote Lean In with Sheryl Sandberg. Do you know this about yourself? Which, I mean, open the whole conversation about gender equality in the workplace. I don't know. Okay. Let's just get into it. Should we just get into the interview? Let's get into it. I don't need to read your intro to you. Okay. Now, what have the last few days been like in your world? I mean, just take me through it.
I feel like people were given this choice between going to the opera or a freak show. And they were like, well, on one hand, you have Mozart's soaring arias. And on the other hand, we could go watch a geek bite off the head of a chicken. And that just seemed like more fun.
I feel like Mozart is talking down to me with all these fancy notes and music that is soothing to my ears. Yuck, no thanks.
Ugh, where's the bearded lady? She's funny.
So where were you? I mean, Joanna and I have talked about where we were when we were, are you a person who watches election results? Like, did you have different boxes on your television screen? Were you watching the whole thing and feeling your soul crumple, or were you doing something else?
I wasn't watching. I mean, I think we got that 2016 feeling pretty early on. Mm-hmm. And so I was the person who went to bed early, woke up, checked my news, and then thought, I will not be looking at the news for another 4 years.
Right.
Don't say that, Nell. Don't say that, because we need you as a reader of the Beast.
We do. We do.
But look, it was a great day for rapists, and especially rapists who want to start a family, because now one of their own is in the office, and the vice president wants to pass laws where victims of rape are forced to carry to term. So, it's not all bad for everyone.
Do you think a woman will ever get elected to the presidency?
I think we'll all be long dead.
In your head, think of an image of a clown, right? It's a man. We don't even have a female clown visual in our heads. And, when Trump dressed up like the garbage man, it was awkward, but we all laughed at it because he was being a clown. And that's something, when women are awkward, it's just kind of sad.
What are all your very well-connected friends saying to you behind closed doors? I can imagine, but I could be wrong.
My friends are sad. There's even ones who will do very well under a Trump administration. I think, it's devastating, and everyone's concerned about what this will mean. I mean, I think we're really in uncharted territory, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In terms of understanding the data, you have always made a very good point, which is that Kamala Harris got thrust into this position, so she didn't have to look crazy ambitious to be running as a presidential candidate. And that was something that people felt good about. Talk to us about the difficulties of women running for office.
2 decades ago, they did a test at Columbia Business School. It was an experiment. There was a case study of a woman named Heidi, who was this very successful entrepreneur. And they gave the case study to the class. A half got it as written about Heidi, and the other half, they made one change, which is they changed Heidi's name to Howard. So the next class, the professors polled the students about their impressions of the entrepreneur. Both sides rated Heidi and Howard as equally competent, but Howard was much more appealing. They all wanted to work for Howard, where Heidi was seen as selfish and not the type of person you would want to work for. So the study has been reproduced, and the takeaway is this, that success and likability are positively correlated for men and negatively correlated for women. So when a man is successful, he is liked by men and women. And when a woman is successful, people of both genders like her less.
Well, I do, having worked in this, I don't know, having lived in this world, I guess, for 55 years, do always reflect that America really seems to hate its mommy and need a daddy. And literally, like in the aftermath of the election, people are calling into the Daily and saying, Daddy's back. There's just a lot of like, Daddy's back. And I'm like, this is a really interesting psychological case study. Maybe we could all interrogate.
You know, Margaret Thatcher was called Attila the Hen, and Nixon called Indira Gandhi, you know, the old witch. Mm-hmm. Angela Merkel was dubbed the Iron Frau. You know, we just don't like these women, even when they have the power.
But Britain has now had 3 female prime ministers. Mm-hmm. And obviously it had a long-reigning queen as the monarch. Is this just something that's impossible in America? Or was it just that the last 2 female candidates who've run weren't electable enough?
I just think there's this strong undercurrent of white supremacy that's certainly undercut in this election. And it's just so hard to overcome. You know, there was this concept that there might be Republican women who would vote for Kamala secretly, you know, against their husband's wishes. And, you know, I just thought that was a terrible ad to suggest. And my feeling is that these women weren't voting for Trump for their husbands. They were voting for Trump for their sons, for their children, to make sure to lock in whatever white privilege advantages there were for the next generation.
I was thinking about that ad too, and I did like it. I actually think it's an important feature of democracy to let people know that their vote is secret, because I just think it's important to democracy writ large, and people don't know that it's actually private. So I think it's important for people to know that, but I do think it goes, you know, sometimes it can have the effect that you don't necessarily seek.
Nell, to what extent do you think, Sam, that this is about the images of women shown in popular culture? So we grow up in a culture where we see firefighters, policemen rescuing everybody. We constantly see stories about white or black male leaders. But it's so hard to find any shows of successful women. I mean, I guess the nearest is HBO's Veep, with Julia Louis-Dreyfus playing Veep. She gets to be president. She sort of stumbles into it. Everything's a joke. It's hard to think of shows where women are taken seriously.
I mean, I don't know. I don't even know. This is such a huge question. I don't know. I just think misogyny is just so deeply, deeply rooted that it goes way beyond what we're seeing in popular culture. I just think it's just it's in people's bones in a way that is very hard to shake out. And I mean, I don't know if you can even. I don't know if that question is answerable. It's a little bit, you know, the cultural products that we watch are just kind of a derivative of what's in the meat of the bones, really. It's so deep. It's so eternal. It's really daunting. It's really upsetting. It's really upsetting to witness. It's really upsetting for me to witness the fact that people couldn't think outside their lives a little bit to save the lives of women who live in states where there is no access to health care for them. The direction that the country is going to go is going to get so much worse for women. And it is amazing to me that an appeal to young men wouldn't take into consideration the fact that they're a participant in unwanted pregnancies, or they're a participant in the formation of an undesired pregnancy. And voting against their own self-interest is something that people are so good at in this country, and I actually can't comprehend it. I'm not going to cry about it, because what is the point of crying about it at this point? A mandate has been dropped, and we can all see, and so there is no crying, there is only carrying on. That's kind of British. You like
Very
that,
British,
right?
I do. I'm rubbing off on you.
You really are. I'm going like one foot in front of the other. I don't know, man. I don't know how this is going to shake out.
By the way, has anyone done a home check on Gloria Steinem? I keep thinking about her and how long and hard she has fought to watch him get elected a second time.
Now, what are your well-placed friends who are big donors or who know the Democratic elite well saying about the campaign?
The big question everyone has was bringing David Plouffe in the right idea, that he was from a different time, from that running this sort of classy campaign with the big rallies. I think that's a big question, but there wasn't a lot of time, and there'll be plenty of blame. Who do you guys blame? Let's each, who's your number one blame?
I actually don't. I think this is a personal feeling. I think they ran as good a campaign as they could run, given the timeline. I blame, if we're going to go there, let's go there. I actually blame the Democratic Party in general for not being really honest about Joe Biden running for a second term a lot earlier, because I know people who were present at interviews with Joe Biden a long time ago, and they observed, was observable to them that he would not be in condition to run for a second term, okay? I mean, we're talking like 2 years ago, all right? And if it is observable to the naked eye of a person who is completely objective party in the room, then it was a known quantity that was not talked about or dealt with in a way that was intelligent and thoughtful and forward-thinking and correct, literally correct for this country. They didn't do anything. They were not honest about it. He was not honest about it. He was extremely arrogant about it. And he did a lot of things that were good, I think. I think he did a lot of things that were good. And I applaud him, and I applaud the people around him for doing things that were correct. But this was a failure that was catastrophic. We could have had an open convention. We could have had all the things that everybody claims that they wanted so badly. We could have had that, and we could have had a longer time to actually. There was so much dissatisfaction with Joe Biden, and they were not honest about it, and they did not really look at it early enough. And so that is where I place the blame. I don't place the blame in Kamala's campaign. I think she did a great job. I think she was a great candidate, actually, and I think she would have been a great president. So that is my honest take.
He also ran on the point that he would be a one-term president, and then clearly changed his mind, as people do when they smell and experience power.
Yeah, we are all experiencing the aftermath of what that arrogance, how that arrogance can metastasize, and what the aftermath of that. We are all going to live with that for the next 4 years.
And there were definitely voices saying that. I mean, we had James Carville on the show 2 weeks ago. He talks about it in his documentary. It's called Winning Stupid, where he says they should have had an open convention, and where he was saying 2 years ago, Joe Biden needs to step aside so that we can flesh this out in public. It
was not a conversation that you could have. It was not a conversation that was welcome. It was not, and that really swings back around to arrogance. Arrogance will be the death of us all. And he himself is arrogant.
Do you think he's sitting in the White House today thinking I could have beaten him?
No, I think he knows that she lost, and I do think that he thinks that he would have won, and he would not have won. I just sweat so much. I soaked my blazer, even beginning to have that conversation.
Nell Scovell, you're a terrific contributor to The Beast, and I would like you to just tell people what the last line of your column is this week, in case people haven't read it. You did say there was one condition on which Kamala would have won. What is it?
Well, yeah, there are all these shoulda, coulda, wouldas of, should there have been an open convention? Should she have gone on Rogan? But to me, the one thing that she really should have done is something she could not have done, which is have a penis. And ideally, it would have been a magnificent one like Arnold Palmer's.
Nell Scovell, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Nell.
Bye, guys.